What is going on, everyone? This is the Fantasy Aces podcast. I'm your host, Joe Babalakwa, and with me we've got Sonny Chowdhury, Nathan Holleran, and Mike Hendel. Got a loaded show for you today. We've been gone for a little bit, but we're back at it for the new season. We're going to be doing running back free agent carousel today. We're going to rank our running backs in PPR format, top 12, and then we're also going to be doing a little Dynasty game that I have for us at the end of the show. But before we get to our news around the league, Sonny, J.J. Watt, give us your reaction on that one.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Another Texan great added to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I'm hyped. I know the Cardinals are hyped. We got two elite pass rushers, and we were talking about it. Now we know why Russell Wilson wants out of that division. You got Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa. I mean, I don't blame him for wanting out of there, but I love it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him. He's probably going to get sacked just as much as he did the previous season. Nate, how do you feel about the J.J. Watt signing?
That's insane. That I just feel bad for Russell Wilson. I know Mike probably doesn't, but I do. I really do. That's a shame. I mean, we're like thinking, oh well, they're gonna get him help, but then Cardinals like, oh, well, let me just add J.J. Watt to the mix of his nightmares. So it's a great pickup for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And Mike, how do you feel about J.J. Watt signing?
Well, I mean, when I heard about it, I thought we were in like a Black Mirror episode or the Twilight Zone. I was like, what? That's it. Well, I mean, because everyone was assuming that he's going ring chasing, and the Cardinals didn't make the playoffs last year, right? But like,
Whoa. Come on
what?
now.
They didn't, right? Am I wrong?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
No.
They didn't.
So like, J.J. Watt went from one team that didn't make the playoffs to another team that didn't make the playoffs, and except for I think, when's the last time the Cardinals did make the playoffs?
I think it was the year they got blown out by the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, so the Texans have made it more recently, right? So, like, is it a lateral move? Is it a backwards move? I
Well,
don't know.
if there's a failing organization, it's the Texans, so at least he got out of there. But
I mean, I will say, if you want to think of it, this is the Cardinals Super Bowl window. I mean, we saw Russell Wilson on his rookie contract, Patrick Mahomes his rookie contract. This is the time to capitalize. I think the Cardinals are doing everything they can to get all these marquee free agents while Kyler is still not making anything. So I think it's the right move, and I think Watt sees the potential. So this is the time to build up the talent.
Maybe he knows something that we don't, so we'll see.
maybe. I mean, he said he did this because he trusts Murray. He trusts Kyler Murray. That's why he did this, and he made
said
this
that?
decision. Yeah.
Amen.
He said the reason I'm doing this is because I trust you as a quarterback, so we'll see how it goes. I also think it's because his buddy DeAndre Hopkins is also on the team, so but we'll see how it goes. NFL's kind of acting like the NBA recently. It's like kind of like best friends kind of, buddying up again, like how the NBA does it. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Do you see the NHL doing that? No. So I really hope it doesn't get to that because then it just becomes these teams are always going to the Super Bowl and always going to the playoffs. I want it more diverse like the NHL, so I really hope it doesn't get to that. But news around the league, the Vikings recently have released Kyle Rudolph. So Irv Smith Jr., that's huge potential. The Texans agreed on a contract with David Johnson. The Jags are expected to pursue free agent wide receivers, so that could be Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson. We do not know. I'm leaning more towards Galladay. I think he could fit in there nicely. And Washington parts ways with Alex Smith. Heineke, here we come. So those are what we have for news around the league. And getting into our first topic today, our running back free agent carousel. I'm going to list the running backs that I have, and we're just going to talk about potential places they can go to that will give them good fantasy production, or maybe not, depending on the leading teams right now. If they go to that team, will that be the best move for them? So we're going to start off with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones right now, he had a pretty good year with the Packers. Personally, for me, if there's any way that the Packers have cap space, I think it's good that he stays there. He's very consistent in his fantasy production on the Packers. They have a really good offensive line. That, for me, that's probably the safer option. As like a fantasy option, I would like it if he was on the Packers. But we're going to start off with Mike on Aaron Jones. Where do you see a good fit of where he can go?
I mean, I think I'm probably with most people that say Miami, right? Is that where the general consensus is? The Packers have A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams still under contract, right? Or is Jamal a free agent also?
Jamal's a free agent, but I'd expect him to come back on a cheaper deal because, who else is really going to be paying him much money? So
Right. Yeah, so I would just be shocked if with a second-round pick in the bag and, the draft coming up and other free agents available that they'll pay him that, whereas, I don't know, what does Miami have?
That's a good point.
Baby.
Miami was my second option. It's Packers first and then Miami. So that's a good point. Miami is a good place to hold a running back right now, so I do like that option. Sonny, what about you?
Yeah, I personally just don't want him in Green Bay because, like Mike alluded to, I think A.J. Dillon could be a viable fantasy option, but with Aaron Jones, he wouldn't be. So, again, if he goes to another team, it just open up two options. And, I do like Miami, but, my favorite landing spot for a running back is the Atlanta Falcons just because they haven't had a good running back in a while. We saw Todd Gurley for the first half of the season, just be an end zone magnet pretty much, and he wasn't even good. So you put a good running back, and you got Arthur Smith over there who's been killing it, in Tennessee with Derrick Henry. We saw the numbers he's been putting up. So, you get a high-powered offense. It's always going to be trailing. I think Aaron Jones is going to find the end zone plenty of times. So, my personal choice would be to see Aaron Jones in Atlanta.
Okay. All right. I have my option for the Falcons, but it's not him, and I'll get to that later. Nate, what about you for Aaron Jones? Where do you like seeing him?
Yeah, I actually picked Dolphins as well as Mike did. I just think he fits so well with Myles Gaskin, but I agree at the same time it could be a good and bad situation because he's looking for a huge contract. But I feel like his fantasy numbers, if he stays in Green Bay, he will still do as great as he already is.
So you guys really think he's going to get the whole fantasy consistent production on the Miami Dolphins? Because if I was Aaron Jones, I wouldn't want to go to the Miami Dolphins, but I can see why he would go there. But there's a bunch of running backs also in that carousel that who knows that they might have a third down running back. And, I know this is the same situation with the Packers, but it's like Miami Dolphins, Packers, which team do you want to be on right now?
And
I want to be on the Packers,
Right, if you're stuck in that situation, you got to go, truly contending playoff team to, the Dolphins had a good year, though.
Don't get me wrong.
They had a very good year.
Defense. Yeah.
But you have A.J. Dillon also, who's been playing really good, too. So, do you have a better shot in Miami? You get more money? Or do you want to say a contending playoff team and take a pay cut?
But it's a good trade-off.
Aaron Jones, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not the prize, right? Leonard Fournette would be the prize.
No. Aaron Jones is definitely the number one running back.
I would take Aaron Jones in a second. I don't
think it's all that close.
There's a reason I have him first on the list right now. He's up there for me.
I'll disagree for the record.
All right. Second running back we have is Chris Carson. Now, this is a running back for me that I have with Atlanta, and the reason is he's probably one of the most physical running backs right now for free agency, and the offensive line of the Atlanta Falcons cannot block. So this guy has to break tackles constantly, and I think he has the most endurance out of all the running backs, so I think Atlanta is a better fit than with Aaron Jones with Atlanta. I just think he's more physical. He needs to break tackles because our offensive line cannot block for the life of them. So I think Atlanta will probably give him the best fantasy production. And then if not Atlanta, then my second option was Miami because I think he'd also be a pretty good fit there, just like Aaron Jones would be. It's more of a carousel running backs in Miami than I think with Atlanta. We'll go to Mike first. What do you think about it with Chris Carson?
I don't know if you guys agree with this one either, but I think the Eagles could really use a back like Chris Carson. Miles Sanders is not he's not the guy, he's a guy. Like Miles Sanders is not going to carry the ball effectively 250 plus times a year. So I think that the market for Carson will be a little less than probably what he hopes. So I think he'll probably get a good tandem there, and then a second crack at free agency because I don't think many running backs are going to get 3+ year deals in this offseason.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Eagles is an interesting situation. It's actually not too bad of a fit. We'll see. But I really want Miles Sanders to like bloom finally, like under, different coaching staff, and maybe it'll open up the hole. So we'll see. Nate, how do you feel about it with
Yeah.
Chris Carson? Where do you think he's going?
Well, what Mike said, the Eagles, I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to do well, even Miles Sanders, if they have an offensive line like that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a bad idea if we also had the money. My personal pick was the Buffalo Bills. I
Okay.
think they really need a running back. Devin Singletary's not cutting it for them.
No, he's
And
not.
I just personally feel, Chris Carson, we saw how good he was doing in the beginning of the season. He was doing phenomenal, and then he got an injury, which held him back for a little bit. But he racked up 2,281 yards, between 2018 and 19, and him getting out of the NFC West could be a little bit, as you can say, probably a breather for him to get into the AFC East. So
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And now just realizing the only contradiction with Atlanta is that Atlanta starts off really bad and then heats up towards the end of the year. But Chris Carson is the opposite. He starts off really well, then gets injured, and then you don't really see him for the rest of the fantasy season. So that could be the problem with Chris Carson in Atlanta. But, I mean, that's just what I've noticed.
Chris Carson's looking at Atlanta. He's like, wait a second. We're having opposite schedules.
Sonny, how do you feel about Chris Carson? Where do you think he's going?
Yeah, and what about the New York Jets? I mean, they got Robert Salah. I mean, he's had experience going up against him in that division. They got LaFleur's brother, the offensive coordinator now for the Jets. So they like that run-heavy scheme. I mean, Frank Gore is, he's probably gone. They don't have a true running back there. So I think Chris Carson can fit in nicely in that offense.
All right, getting into our third running back, Leonard Fournette. Personally, it may be hard with the cap space. I really think you should stay on the Bucs. If we're taking the postseason and his fantasy points from the postseason, wow, this guy has a lot of production on the Bucs offensive line. The only problem, he has to compete with a younger, more explosive Ronald Jones. But those two did really well, mixing it with the shares and getting their fantasy potential. So I think it could continue that way. I personally would want him to stay on the Bucs, but there are numerous places that would give him more of a contract and more money, so I could see why he'd want to leave. But personally, I would stay on the Bucs. We're going to go to Nate first. Where do you think Leonard Fournette should go?
Yeah, I feel like his production got a lot better throughout the year with the Bucs, and I agree with you. Him sharing the ball with Ronald Jones seemed to work out really well as getting the Lombardi Trophy. So at the end of the day, I feel like the Bucs is probably the best option, unless someone's going to pay him starter money. To go there. I think, for him personally, he's not too worried about fantasy points, but he's more worried about production for the money and the Super Bowl rings with Mr. Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Mike, where do you think Fournette's going to go?
I'm changing my answer for Aaron Jones, and I think the Bills is an awesome spot for him, especially, if they're not, giving Josh Allen $100 million, $200 million in the next couple of years, whatever. So, and then I'm putting Leonard Fournette in Miami.
See, it's just like with the Bills. If you're going on the Bills, sorry, I'm not taking you as a fantasy running back because Josh Allen takes all the touchdowns away from you. You're not even going to be considered like one of those top backs because he's going to want to take it in the end zone, and he did it to Singletary. Josh Allen's not going to stop running the ball in the end zone. If he's that good at it, why are they going to stop that? That's why their offense was so good.
No matter how weirdly he runs.
It's going to lower his fantasy.
Aaron Jones is like 3 times as good as those other guys.
That is true. It's just it depends. Their play calling. It works so well. Personally, I think he's going to take a dip in fantasy production if he went from the Packers to the Bills. That's my opinion.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but Sonny, what do you think about Aaron Jones?
You mean Leonard Fournette?
Oh, sorry, Leonard Fournette. My bad.
Yeah. No, again, I really think the best move for Leonard Fournette, like you said, I'm in complete agreement. I think he should just run it back with the Buccaneers, get everyone back together, and I mean he showed you that he still got in the playoffs, and I think he can just build off of that. So I like Tampa Bay for him.
As a first-round pick who got cut and didn't get a true crack at free agency, there's no way that Leonard Fournette is not taking the most dollars this offseason.
I mean, to be fair, there were reports that came out that they almost released him actually before the playoffs mid-season.
Really?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That's just, I mean,
That would
just
have been
shows
horrible.
you.
Then they would have won the Super Bowl without him.
He was a main factor of that Super Bowl. He
Yeah,
did
he
so
was huge in
well.
that game.
He
Yeah.
was
I mean,
confident, explosive,
It's another
underrated.
reason to take the money.
That's crazy because
Yeah.
if they would have, imagine if they would have lost that, there'd have been so many what ifs in that organization of what if we kept them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so my next running back is Kenyon Drake. He's going to be a free agent. This is kind of a guy you're like, I'm not really sure about him. Do I really care about his fantasy production? But I think it's something to note. Personally, I'm going to go with a random one. I think James Conner is going to get cut from the Steelers or actually going to sign with another team. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers might be a good option with him. Anthony McFarland will run most of the majority in the passing game. I think Kenyon Drake could be a 1-2 combo, not getting all the shares because we know he's not really good at taking all the shares in the backfield. So maybe he has some fantasy production on the Steelers, so that might be a nice place for him to go. I don't think they're going to pay too much for him, but they'll probably pay the right price. Sonny, what do you think about with Kenyon Drake? What do you think is a good spot?
Yeah, I mean, for those exact reasons, I would say to put him on the Bills because of that. I mean, we saw him splitting touches with Chase Edmonds, and we see him dealing with injuries, and maybe he's just not a workhorse back. But, I mean, they've taken 2 running backs in the 3rd round, so you can't just completely give up on them. So I think it'd be a trio of running backs. It'd be really bad for fantasy, but I think you'd get solid production from some of them on each given week. So I like to see him on the Bills just because I think they can all feed off each other.
Makes sense. Nate, Kenyon Drake, where do you see him going?
Yeah, I mean, the Bills aren't a bad option at all. I mean, I think the Bills need a running back in general, so Kenyon Drake going to that team would not be a bad idea at all. I personally think he should stay in Arizona. I
Okay.
do. I don't think he had the worst, season. He didn't have the best. I know we all kept sitting here. I will give him a couple weeks. We'll give him a couple weeks, and then
Yeah.
it just never was like bam. But I still don't think he's a bad running back. He finished with 955 yards, just below 10 touchdowns. He wasn't astronomically horrible. He just wasn't what we all wanted him to be or wanted him to go to. So I think I agree with Sonny, the Bills, or you just stay. For me personally, you just stay in Arizona and you work out a deal with them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. For some reason, I have an odd feeling that he might go to the Eagles as well. I don't know why.
I mean, bring them all. I mean, they might as well just give us everything.
You guys are running the
messing out.
fast team right now, and we know he's a pretty fast running back, so that could make a good fit.
The
Mike,
Eagles are just so unpredictable.
Mike, where do you think Kenyon Drake will go?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Steelers as but I just think the running back contracts this offseason, because of the salary cap being lower, and then the knowledge that we can just draft a guy in the 6th round and who knows, he could be good. So money's not going to be there for anyone but Aaron Jones and Leonard Fournette. So I don't know, Steelers.
All right, well, clearly not the Steelers, I guess. Jerome does not like that.
Jerome doesn't want anything to do with Philly either.
That's why he meant no. That's why I meant no.
Yeah, I think it was
All
Philly.
right.
I'm more than positive.
Our next running back is Marlon Mack. People seem to forget him because he was injured the whole year, but he did put up a 1,000-yard season beforehand. He was a pretty just consistent back, not too exciting, not too boring, but he was consistent. So, just a nice running back piece to have. I think it's a good idea for some team just like the Jets to have him because they can get him at a cheap contract and he'll do the work. And I think it'd be a really good piece in fantasy production, just going to a team that, will pay the price for, a lower level contract running back because he's been injured for a year. So I think that's just a good place to put him. But, knowing the Jets, they probably will draft a younger running back in the draft. So Marlon Mack is probably going to be a bench piece at most. So, but the Jets I see as being a good team for him. Sonny, what do you think about it with Marlon Mack?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Marlon Mack, I'm really just not interested in Marlon Mack, whatsoever. I mean, I think he's fine. He's fine. I mean, I think it'd be a nice backup piece somewhere where you don't want to wear down your running back. But, I mean, honestly, I think even he could stay with the Colts, but it's whatever. I'm just really
no,
not
Jerome, you're doing
the
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to put him in here because you know what? I think he's still going to have more production than Le'Veon Bell next season. Wow, was Le'Veon Bell a yawn when he went on the Steelers? He did nothing. I'm not even going to, like, I
I mean,
know
I
he's a
will
free
say,
agent,
yeah.
but it's
I
just
will
like,
say, yeah, the thing about Le'Veon Bell, the only team that I would actually be interested in is the Steelers, and that's it. Like, you could sign anywhere, and I probably wouldn't draft you, but there's part of me that would be willing to take a shot on him if he signs the Steelers, just because we know his familiarity with Big Ben, that line, Mike Tomlin. So again, that's the only spot I want to see Le'Veon Bell, and that's really nowhere else. I mean, that's pretty much it.
all right. Nate, where do you see Marlon Mack going? Because
Marlon
he's
Mack.
definitely not going to be on the Colts. Jonathan Taylor took that spot all day
Well, not
long.
even that, but I saw that even the GM is very unsure about signing him, and we all know if a GM is kind of
Oh, yeah.
unsure,
No, Marlon
you
Mack's finding a
could.
new team. It's just where is he going to be a bench piece? Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose, I would have to say in this scenario that I made up in my mind, which I think he would do well in. So let's say Aaron Jones leaves, Green Bay picks him up, Marlon Mack behind AJ Dillon, and they both play for that spot. That was the conclusion
interesting.
that came with in my head. That I was thinking, oh well, if Aaron Jones is willing to leave for better money and a team
Hmm.
is willing to pay for him, they're going to be looking for somebody to, how Sonny said, be that bench player for when
Yeah,
AJ Dillon obviously is going to be the starter. I would be surprised if he wouldn't be. And then Marlon Mack to come in for the extra reps. So Green Bay, absolutely. And then, I mean, Pittsburgh, in my opinion, again, like you have James Conner, you have Marlon Mack. I mean, I don't really know where Pittsburgh's direction is. I don't know if they're going up or going down. They have a lot of things to figure out over there. But probably Green Bay, since
all
because
right.
there's no way he's staying in Indy. There's no way.
And Mike, to finish it off with Marlon Mack.
I mean, I'll just throw out the Raiders. Why not? We're saying he should be a backup somewhere. The Raiders need something outside of Josh Jacobs and preferably with some speed. Jalen Richard didn't get as many touches on offense last year as people thought he might. So I don't know. But if we're talking Le'Veon Bell, like you guys were saying before, I mean, it sounds like that's a perfect Buccaneers fit where you just plug him into the Leonard Fournette role. They're just going to retread every old running back that made the Pro Bowl 4 years ago and churn out some more championships.
Or 5 or 6, like LaShawn McCoy just didn't play at all.
Fair point.
Yeah,
fair
I mean,
point.
I'll also say, like, I mean, I don't know if Adrian Peterson's going to be back in Detroit, so maybe he could be a complimentary role with DeAndre Swift. And again, if no one else, if Miami doesn't get anyone, I think Myles Gaskin is solid, but he is really small. So maybe if you pair him up in Miami too. So those are two backup options.
That is true.
Well.
Oh, if Adrian Peterson goes to the Raiders, I'm buying his jersey immediately. Unless the Raiders unless they get Ndamukong Suh, then I'm getting.
Let's put Adrian Peterson on the box. I said we get him. Yeah.
Yeah, Peterson
he does need a ring. He needs a ring. He does.
Yeah.
He needs a ring.
Forget about any other team. He should sign with a team that he thinks is going to win it all next year. That's a good
I would rather see him sign with the team where he will get literally the most amount of carries so that he can challenge for that Emmitt Smith record. I don't
honestly
think
maybe. What's a good team that would have the most money? Maybe the Bills, because those running backs had a lot of carries, but they just didn't score. So maybe the Bills is a good option for him. But
you need someone with like a starter who can't handle the load but is good.
Or just put him on the Jets, because who do they have besides Lamar?
I think he wants a ring.
I mean, you get Deshaun Watson over there, and you're in the running. So
I think he's sick of just seeing the TV and couch every offseason.
All right, it's time for the last two running backs. I'm going to kind of pair them together. Speedy receiver backs, Tariq Cohen and Lindsey. Now, my take is if Lindsey leaves the Broncos, I think Tariq Cohen would be a really nice fit for the Broncos because he is a very fast pass-catching back, and they do need another weapon on that offense. So I think he would take that and get most of the share volume for the running back core on the Broncos. But then I might move Lindsey to the Falcons. I do think he's actually a good fit for the Falcons. A speedy pass catching back because we like throwing the ball more than running it. I think he is a good option to have there. So that would be my take on that. Sonny, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you think Tariq Cohen's going to get traded? Because he did get extended last year on the Bears. I think it was 2 years. So are you like expecting them to
I've
trade
been
him?
the reason I did see reports that he is very likely to be traded. So in a situation of that, because I know Lindsey is a free agent, he'll probably
Mhm.
leave. If he does get traded to the Broncos, I think that would be probably the best trade option. So I think he would probably be going to the Broncos, but that's just my take. But what about you for Lindsey and if Tariq Cohen gets traded?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Buccaneers don't have a true pass catcher right now because, I mean, we saw Ronald Jones and Fournette both just don't have hands. And I mean, that's one option. Another option I could maybe see is the Patriots, just because they've always had that Dion Lewis and James White type of role. If I'm not mistaken, James White is set to be a free agent. So, I mean, they need a running back. It could be a nice little compliment with Sony Michel.
All right, and Nate, how do you feel about Philip Lindsay? Where do you think he will potentially go?
Yeah, Philip Lindsay, I don't see much. I mean, there's plenty of options out there. He showed sparks of how good he can be, and how good he is. So, I mean, the Patriots probably, in my mind, make the most sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Jets, honestly, to get his starting role back. Because like you said, Frank Gore, and then with everything going on over there in New York, why not grab Lindsay? And then for Tariq Cohen, I think he tweeted he's not going anywhere.
Did he
He's
really?
locked
All
in.
right.
Yeah, so pretty much real quick during the entire QB controversy of rumors of Nick Foles and Carson Wentz and all this going on, he tweeted, let me clear this up real quick. He wrote, just got off the phone with my head coach and general manager. Bears fans, we're locked in. Don't worry. So
I don't want him on the Bears anymore. I just feel
I
like
don't
it's a
either.
bad
I
idea.
think he'd be
David
better
Montgomery's
somewhere
a
else.
guy. Yeah, David
I
Montgomery's a
yeah.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all right. I guess that changed, but if he really wants to stay on the Bears, I had him 2 years ago in fantasy, and he did not put up the fantasy output. And then, of course, this year he got injured. I just think it's time to go. Mike, where would you like your guy Philip Lindsay? I know you're a big fan of him. Where would you want him to go?
Thank you. Thank you for knowing that. It's true. I do love me some Philip Lindsay. I know that the Ravens really wanted him when he went undrafted. He was like that close in going to sign with Baltimore. And Baltimore's not going to have Mark Ingram next year. They could really use someone to complement Dobbins and maybe someone a little more exciting than Gus Edwards. I'm sorry. I think he's a good player, but like it would be awesome to see a Dobbins and Lindsay tandem, and especially when you have Lamar Jackson there. Like you need to add pieces, obviously, if you're the Ravens, and that would be a relatively inexpensive piece that you're going to get some work out of.
Yeah, no, that is a very fair point. Ravens would be interesting to see him on. Because Lamar doesn't really like throwing to his receivers, so why not a pass catching running back? So that is a good option. But that's all we have for our free agent carousel when it comes to running backs. And now we're going to be ranking our top 12 running backs if it was a PPR format. We're going to leave it off to Sonny. Why don't you give us our top 12 rankings?
Yeah, so I'm keeping the overall 101 that we had last year. I'm going with Christian McCaffrey as the number one pick. I mean, again, he was dealing with injuries, but he does not have an injury history. And again, even on a points per game basis, he was still the number one running back overall, so I'm sticking with him. Number two is Alvin Kamara, and this is with the caveat that Taysom Hill is not the starting quarterback. I don't care who it is. It could be Winston. It could be Bridgewater, whoever. I personally think it will be Winston, but again, if it's not Taysom Hill, I'll keep Kamara at two. And in between, I'll give spoiler ahead. Number three is Dalvin Cook, and the reason I'm picking Kamara is because of his reception floor, and I mean he's usually healthier of the two, so I'm going to give him the edge. So number three is Dalvin Cook. I mean he's amazing. The only problem is the injury. So again, I don't want to wish that upon anyone, but it still worries me enough to put him at three. But I mean, there's not much to say. He's an amazing running back. Number four, Derrick Henry. One of these years the tire's going to fall off, but I still think he's got one, maybe two more monster years. I know it's a little tricky with Arthur Smith gone, but we got to stop doubting him because he's going to get the touches. He's going to get the touchdowns, and he's just reliable every year, especially in that second half. And then next up is the rookie, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, finally got the quarterback answered. You got arguably the best offensive line in the NFL on a run-heavy offense. I mean, he just broke out, and I think going to carry over in the next season. And then Saquon Barkley's up next. I mean, if he was healthy, he'd be phenomenal, and I think he'll be back better than ever. I know there's an injury concern with the ACL, but got to remember, Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and led the league in rushing yards the next year. So I'm not really too worried about him. He's a do-it-all back, and he's maybe the most talented running back in the league. Next up, we got Ezekiel Elliott. Looked like a top-5 running back. Looked like the guy that we drafted to be with Dak Prescott on the offense. And once he went down, the whole offense went down. So I expect the whole offense to bounce back, and I think he'll be a lot better. And he could be a huge value. He could be that top 3 pick that we were drafting him to be. We just don't know with his age and then the team concerns. And then next up is Austin Eckler. I mean, Justin Herbert, phenomenal. Keenan Allen, phenomenal. The whole offense, just amazing. I think he'll have plenty of touchdown equity, plenty of receptions, plenty of rushing attempts. So I think he's just going to have a do-it-all back. I think Joe Lombardi compared him to Alvin Kamara, so that gets me super hyped. Coming from the Saints coaching staff, I'm just all bought in on the Chargers offense. So I'm pretty high on Eckler. And then next up is Nick Chubb, maybe the best pure runner in the NFL. Got maybe the best O-line in the NFL on a run-heavy offense. Only concern is, I mean, splitting work with Kareem Hunt, but we saw even with both of them on the field, he's still going to get his workload, and he's just so talented. And then next up, another rookie, Cam Akers. I mean, he looked like that 3-down back finally at the end of the year and the playoffs. And, I mean, Todd Gurley was the best running back in fantasy, and he's got Sean McVay. He's got Matt Stafford, who actually does like to throw to his running back, so I expect him to get more work in the passing game and then build on that heavy workload. Next is Aaron Jones. And again, these two guys can switch. I mean, you put Aaron Jones on the Jets, he'll stay at 11. If you put him on the Falcons, he can maybe jump up over Cam Akers. So those two are interchangeable, but I still have faith he'll be top 12. And then lastly, at number 12 is Miles Sanders, just because I think that Eagles O-line is going to come back healthier. I mean, again, that line was completely demolished. I think they're an amazing line. He looked better with Jalen Hurts, and I think this will be a lot better. Yeah,
Mike.
Where did you – I'm sorry, I was trying to follow. Where did you have DeAndre Swift?
He did not crack my top 12.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
He didn't crack mine either. He did not
Not
crack
me either,
mine.
Mike. Sorry, man.
But, yeah.
I'm glad he thinks so because he's my dynasty running back, Mike. But I'm glad
No,
he thinks
yeah,
so.
I do. Yeah, Mike, again, this is another thing that I'm going to say. I mean, the running backs are so deep. Like, I could not believe how deep there's. I'm now going to have Mixon on here, Clyde on here, Dobbins, and Gibson, all these guys. Like, I love all those guys. It was hard to narrow down to 12, but I do love Swift. And if you're high on them, like, you know,
Who's Joe Mixon? Wait, who's Joe Mixon?
Oh, we're sleeping on Joe Mixon. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'm still high on Mixon. You know, I still love Mixon, but yep, those guys did not crack my top 12. But
all right, I love the list. My list is very similar. I love it. Mike, you're up for your next top 12 rankings.
Mine's pretty similar. My top 3 are the same. Just I have Christian McCaffrey at 3, Kamara at 1, and Cook at 2. You know, prove it to me that you're going to stay healthy the year after that big injury, but 3 is a floor. And then I put Saquon ahead of Derrick Henry. So, I mean, pretty similar swaps. We just flipped them. Jonathan Taylor up there. But I have Swift at 7, right under Jonathan Taylor. When your quarterback is Jared Goff, I think you're going to want to be running the ball as much as possible.
That makes sense.
But how much are you going to be running it if you're trailing the whole time?
Oh my gosh!
Then you'll throw it to him. I mean, I'm just saying.
Wow.
And then you got to think. I mean, how many touchdowns do you expect him to get? I don't see many scoring opportunities. Again, when they're trailing, you have to be airing it out. So the talent, again, I agree with it. I just don't trust that Lions offense year one.
I think that they are going to be running the ball a lot. And
he makes a good point. Because if Kenny Galladay leaves and Marvin Jones, that's all DeAndre Swift on that offense. And Hawkinson.
And they're going to force the passing game onto Swift as well. Then I have Chubb. I put Robinson there at 9. James Robinson of the Jaguars. And then I didn't have Austin Eckler in my 12, but after the things that Sonny said, I bumped him up to all the way to 10. Just because he convinced me. But I did drop him right behind Robinson. Robinson, oh man, he's a stud. And then I put Aaron Jones, whatever team he's on, after Eckler, and then rounding it out, I have Zeke at 12, and I don't know.
I have not heard.
He'll probably be better than 12, but like I wouldn't draft him until I would draft all those other guys ahead of him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nate, yeah,
I didn't hear one Saquon in any of that. In any.
No, yeah, I had Saquon at 6.
Oh, you did have Saquon.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't hear that. Okay, that's
4.
good.
I have him at 4.
Okay.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool. Well, I didn't hear anything apparently. So, but yeah, for me, I agree. Number 1, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey. I mean, why wouldn't you? Number 2, I got Dalvin Cook. I love Dalvin Cook. He's obviously an amazing running back. I mean, it's no surprise he's in the top 3, top 2. I got number 3, Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. The dude's a beast. I agree with Sonny. I mean, like, how many more years though will he have these monstrous, seasons? Yeah, Mike. What's the problem? What's up, Mike?
Kamara, man, Kamara.
No, I'm not. No, I'm doing it different this time.
He's my number 1.
I'm doing it.
He's not.
I'm doing it different.
I would agree with you with Derrick Henry that high up if it was standard, but we're talking PPR, and this man,
I still got him. I know.
I still got him at 4. Even PPR, I still got him at 4. So
I don't know. It's just so dominant. It's hard not to pick that amazing player. All right, then I got Nick Chubb at number 4. I like Nick Chubb. I thought he played great. I know. So we were like, well, doesn't he have like Kareem Hunt in the backfield too? I've told you I'm doing it different this time. May not or may like it. I don't know.
I love Chubb. That's a good spot.
Yeah, he was a great pickup for me this past season. Aaron Jones, number 5.
Where's Kamara?
I think he's not. I don't even think he's on. I'm telling you, I don't even think he's on my list.
Wow! wow!
I did it really different.
He scored the most points last year, right?
No,
Yeah.
okay. I got Kamara at number 6. And then right after Kamara, I put Saquon Barkley. I know everyone's like, "Oh, his ACL. Like, what's gonna happen?" I think he'll be fine. The dude's a beast. He'll be fine. He'll come back better than ever. Number 7, I got Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders will do good. I think we were all shocked. Don't forget, though. Listen, don't forget. I get it. Like, Jalen Hurts is in the back with a new quarterback. What's going to go on with the offense? Believe in Miles Sanders. He's great. Number 8, I got Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor. I was pretty on him in the beginning of the season. Then I was like, well, what's going on in Indy? But Jonathan Taylor is like the best rookie. I think he finished in, if I'm not wrong, top 3 in
he was
rushing.
the number 1. He was the number 1 running back in fantasy after week 12.
Yeah. So I mean, my point exactly. Number 9, I got Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys got a lot of things going on, but Ezekiel Elliott's still playing pretty good football. I mean, there's no surprise. Joe Mixon, number 10. I like Joe Mixon. I think if he stays healthy, he can be unbelievable. I mean, there's no question about it. Number 11, I got James Robinson. Number 11. I think the kid's a stud. And number 12, I'm going to go with the Chiefs running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Wow.
I like him a lot. And the reason why is because, well, what happened to Patrick Mahomes? He got turf toe. He gets sacked a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if they saw an increase in touches and passes to Clyde. I'm just saying. It's a different list this time.
Yeah, Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Okay, we need a hashtag Nate doing Nate things.
Post it up, Jerome. Post it up. Nate doing Nate things. Also, Nate.
That would
I
be a great hashtag.
I hear you clicking every time you do a running back. Do you have like a running back PowerPoint for us that I'm not seeing right now?
Oh my gosh! Like
I hear you clicking a slide every time.
Yeah, I go back and forth to list to make sure I don't give you the wrong list. Because I almost just said Austin Eckler, which I know like people are like, well, he is good. Well, he's not on my list.
Okay.
He's not on my list. So Nate's doing Nate things tonight. This is a different episode.
The only reason why I could see him not being on the list is because I think the Chargers actually might be really good this year and have closer games, which means he might not produce as much fantasy-wise. But he's in my top 12. So for me, I have C-Mac 1, Alvin Kamara 2, Dalvin Cook 3. At 4, I actually have Jonathan Taylor. Like I said, best running back after week 12. He's bumped up there for me. At 5, I have Nick Chubb. Arguably, probably one of the better, greater offensive lines right now in the NFL with the Browns. So I really trust Nick Chubb to be up there. I'm bumping down Derrick Henry. I think the Titans are going to be bad this year. I don't know why, but I think they're going to be bad, which means I think A.J. Brown's going to have a really good fantasy year because they're going to be down a lot. But I don't think Derrick Henry's going to be running it as much. I do think Arthur Smith was a huge reason why Derrick Henry is doing well. When he's gone, he's going to be bumped down a little bit. And then I have Cam Akers next at number 7, I believe. And then I have Austin Eckler, number 8. At number 9, I have Saquon Barkley. At number 10, I have Zeke Elliott. 11, Aaron Jones. And to finish it off at 12, I have David Montgomery, probably one of the most consistent running backs toward the end stretch of the year. So I'm going to put him in there. But that's my top 12. All right, getting into the third topic, I got a little game for you guys. Now, this is based on Dynasty. It's really important right now for the offseason. And for a lot of people, they have moves to make. But I'm going to play a game where you have to start one guy, you have to bench one guy, and you have to sit one guy. So I'm going to give you 3 players, and you guys have to decide. So we're going to start off with
Isn't bench and sit the same thing?
Bench and cut.
Oh,
I think.
sorry, my bad. Cut. I don't know why I said sit. It was right there. But yeah, you have to start one, you have to bench one, and you have to cut one. So we're going to go with Dynasty running backs right now. Pretty young guys. We have Gibson, DeAndre Swift, and Moss. So you have the option to start one, bench one, and cut one. We're going to start with Mike first.
Well, you guys know what I said about Swift, so obviously he's my start. I guess that would push Gibson to the bench, and I'm saying goodbye to Moss. Yeah.
All right, Sonny, how do you feel about those 3?
I'm in full agreement. Yeah, not much to say. I agree with Mike.
And Nate? I mean, I'm telling you, it's not nice. It's not nice to be a Bills running back right now. It's not nice. I would not have Moss.
Hashtag Nate's going to do a Nate thing right now. So he's going to start Antonio. He's going to sit Swift, and he's going to give her to Zach Moss.
All right. And, we're thinking Dynasty, so this is long-term. This just isn't for the next year. This is for many years to come. We got wide receivers next. Start one, bench one, cut one. Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Reagor for the next 4 or 5 years.
Man.
Nate, starting you off, you got Reagor on the list here. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to go with I'm going to start CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to sit Brandon Ayuk, and I'm going to get rid of Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. We really haven't seen much of Reagor, but imagine if he does turn up the tanks coming in the year.
That will be another Nate doing Nate things. So next episode.
Sonny, how do you feel about it? Really, it's between Ayuk and Lamb. It's interesting which one you're going to pick here.
I mean, once again, it is close, but I'm in full agreement with that. I agree with the order, and I got nothing to change.
And Mike, same as well?
Yeah, I mean, Lamb's the best wide receiver on the Cowboys, so.
Yeah. I know you don't like Amari Cooper. Now, this one should be clear-cut. It really should be. But with quarterbacks, Herbert, Joe Burrow, and Tua. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if Mike feels that way, that a bet comes. I'll take Amari Cooper if you want to get one going for this season.
No.
I love Amari Cooper.
We'll take Amari Cooper.
I'm actually a big Amari Cooper guy. I like Amari Cooper a lot.
The only reason I say no is because I know that I'm wrong.
All right.
Okay.
In that case. But 3 dynasty quarterbacks. Start one, bench one, cut one. I really want to know which one you guys are starting or benching. But Herbert, Burrow, and Tua. Which one would you guys be starting, benching, and cutting? We're going to start with Mike first.
Well, I'm obviously cutting Tua, and then it's between those 2 guys, and it's tough. It might not be as tough for you guys, but I just feel like Burrow is going to be throwing 50 times a game, every game, no matter when he's in. So I'm still going to go with Herbert because Herbert proved it and is outstanding. And against every team was putting up fantasy points. I have to do it, but I don't think it's as clear cut as maybe the rest of you guys might.
I would have to. It's really close between Burrow and Herbert. For me, Tua is a clear cut, but I will go with Herbert as well. Just fantasy wise, I think he's going to get more points. Nate, what do you think?
Yep, nothing's gonna change. Same thing. Herbert was killing it, so he's got a chance to go in the league. Joe Burrow, he's got to deal with Cincinnati and what's been going on with them. And not saying it's a bad organization, just saying they got a lot of things they still got to fix. And Herbert seems a more clear cut path to start.
I would have to agree with that. And Sonny, your rank.
Yeah. I mean, well, as a Cincinnati resident, I will say it is a bad organization. I don't trust the Bengals at all. And again, I mean, Burrow might throw more times in a game, but I think Herbert will be more efficient and score more touchdowns.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Where do the Bengals pick in the draft?
Numbers 5, I believe.
Yeah.
5.
I think it's right above the Eagles.
If they don't trade out of the spot, could they pair Burrow with his college?
Jamar trade So I would
That
love
would be
as a
such
football,
a good idea.
yeah. As a football fan, that's what I want. I want to see them reunite, and I want to see them get Joe Brady next year after Zach Taylor's gone. But if I was a Bengals fan, I think I would probably take Penny just because like after what happened to Burrow, I mean you don't want to see that again. But me, I mean again, I am not a Bengals fan, so I am rooting for the reunion. Everybody, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and Joe Brady, it's all back together.
I feel like if at this point we know that the Bengals are gonna. They've started like what the rest of the league is doing with quarterback empowerment, whatever the hot topic is. Like they've already started that in Cincinnati. It's Joe Burrow calling the shots, I think, until a new regime gets there and maybe puts the hammer down on it. But I see that happening.
All right, and then going with our last one. This one actually is going to be very tricky. With tight ends, we got Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, and George Kittle. Now be careful with this one. Because this is Dynasty, and you got to put that into perspective here. So personally, for me, I'm starting Kittle, I'm benching Waller, and I am dropping Kelce because Kelce is getting on the older side, and I'm going to take more of the younger tight ends. So that is my take. We'll go with Nate first.
Waller, Kittle, Kelce.
So you're dropping Kelce.
Yeah, Kelsey's gone. I'm going to start Waller. Then I'm going to go
Waller
with Kittle and then Kelce.
All right, and Mike.
I mean, obviously I'm starting Waller, but I'm going Kelce after Waller. I mean, Kelce's the best tight end in football, and he's going to be the best tight end in football for the next 3 years at least. And then
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a dynasty league, Mike.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's a jump.
You still want to like win games. Like you still want the best player, right? Like okay, it's a dynasty league. I still want the best player. I still want to win now. I don't want to give up. I don't know. I think Kelce would be awesome for a while.
Possibly. I mean, I have him on my dynasty team right now, but guess what I'm thinking? Crap, I need a backup tight end because he is getting on the older side. I might only have 2 to 3 more good years, but dynasty, you're thinking like 10 years, and in a whole. So, I mean, I'd rather have Kittle and Waller. I just think they're younger, and I'd rather have more years with them. So that's going to be my take. Sonny.
Yeah, so I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say I want to start Kittle, bench Kelce, and cut Waller.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, the only reason I'm benching I do think I look at it like from a 3-year window, and I do think that Travis Kelce, at least 2 years of league production, maybe 3. And Waller's not the youngest guy either. I think he's been in the league for a little bit. And, I mean, yeah, Mike.
Waller is the only good player on the Raiders offense, man. Like, there's no.
You think it's going to stay that way? I mean, they've already been linked to Juju. They tried drafting Ruggs in the first round. Yeah. They're going to be taking shots on receivers. How long do you think he's going to be the best guy on that team?
At least
a fair point.
Next year, probably the year after that. Like, I don't know.
I mean, they could easily add. I mean, what if they do add a top end wide receiver? What if they hit on the draft? I mean, what if they get rid of Derek Carr? I mean, we don't know.
If they get me right now, then that would be one thing. But
I'm thinking. You ask me right now, my order. Like that's what I'd like personally. I know a lot can change. Any of those situations happen again, it'll be all flopped around. But right now, I want Kittle. I'll keep Kelce on the bench, and I'm cutting Waller personally. It's tough though. I mean, it's
Okay,
tough.
so Kelsey's on the bench. All right, you're making me feel better about my dynasty team because I am a little worried about the timing with Kelsey, and this was an outlier year. There's no way he's getting as many fantasy points as he did this previous season.
Yeah.
Just remember, Waller has been around. Waller's been around.
Yes,
I
but
mean,
he's way
not
more
as young.
athletic.
He
He's
just
so
broke
athletic.
out. I mean, he did just recently break out, but he's been around longer than I think most of us realize.
Yeah, but he has less tread on the tires, so to speak.
That's
yeah,
true. He still doesn't need to
does.
change for another like
when has Kelsey
80,000
ever
miles.
taken? When has Kelsey ever taken a beating? I mean, honestly, I mean the
That's
dude
true.
stays healthy. He knows
That
that.
is
I mean,
Yeah, he does. He does. That's true.
So good.
I don't know. We'll
All
have to
three-
see though.
All three are just really that good. They just separate
Yeah.
themselves. So
I
that's
mean,
why
I want all of them. Obviously, give me all
Yeah,
of
of
them.
course.
Like I'll
Yeah.
be targeting them heavily, but it's
I
tough.
mean, but if Garoppolo is, I guess he does put up numbers with Garoppolo. If it's Matt Ryan, like I think it should be, it would be awesome if it is. Then
You
yeah.
can give him Tua. It doesn't matter. I mean, he will put up numbers with any quarterback.
Oh,
Take Matt
don't
Ryan.
use Tua like that. Don't use Tua like that.
49ers, take him.
yeah,
Take Matt Ryan.
I'm not out on Tua, by the way. I still believe in him. But I'm just saying, just anyone.
I saw a stat, Matt Ryan. I don't know if it was just for the over his career. He had the most throwable interceptions in fantasy football. He had 38. The next one was Matthew Stafford with 30.
Wait,
He
what?
had the most. He had the most. I don't know what it was. I looked at it really quickly. It was like the most.
You mean like
Like-
passes that should have been intercepted?
I think it was intercepted. Like it was just a clear cut to the defender. There was no wide receiver around, and it wasn't like a close one. It was just right to the defender. But I think Matt Ryan had the most of them. Just awful interceptions, and he had 38, and then Matthew Stafford had 30, and then it was like Carson Wentz at 32.
Wait,
I
so
remember
this
that guy.
is this
I would
is
have to look at the
over
stat.
what period of time?
I believe it was 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10 years. All right, guys, that is all we have for today's episode. Really good stuff. Listen to us on Facebook and YouTube. Also follow us on Inside the Hashes. Check out our Insta and Twitter accounts at Inside Hashes. Also check out our website where you can see Air It Out and RPO. We'll see you guys next Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's getting really close to free agency time. I'm very excited. March Madness, here we come. We'll see you guys next week, and stay safe out there.
See ya.
Yep.
Right.